Hey guys, this is Alex.
And this is Drew.
And today on the Two Man Comic Book Club podcast, we're going to be taking a look at Doctor Doom from 2019 by Christopher Cantwell, Salvador LaRocca, and Guru Effects. Let's go. That one sound better?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What you guys don't see behind the scenes is all of the second takes and the hiccups and the burps and the sneezes. And
Well, the second takes typically only happen at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because once we go, I'm just like, I'll fix it in post.
Right.
Yeah.
I have for those listening and watching, I have a knack for speaking a little too hot when we first start. Also, for those who are watching right now, you will notice that we have a guest in house.
Huzzah.
My brother-in-law and great friend Torrance is going to be here, hopefully more often than not, being our guy in the chair, fact-checking us, helping us find stuff, and also just chiming in on the conversation from time to time because everybody likes comics. So say hi, Tori.
Hey, how's it going?
He is an awesome addition for what we're going to be doing, and we're excited to have him. So expect to hear a third voice that you're not used to hearing on Two Man.
And for the record, he's not actually plugged into the same mic system, so if he's a little bit low, that's my fault because I only have a 2 interface system, so he's talking into a external MP3 recorder, but it's better than nothing.
You'll be able to do your
We'll be better next time.
your audio wizardry just to make it work for this time.
I don't know about that.
We have an exciting book to cover today, but first I think we're going to take one out of our old bag of tricks, and Drew wanted to do a 60-second catch-up on Doctor Doom because, A, we haven't done one of those in a while, and B, I think this is our first supervillain that we've covered on the channel, right?
Yeah, and I had a question about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should wait till after the 60-second catch-up, but my question was, is he always a villain?
Most of the time, yes, but I know why you asked that question because you read this comic.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
Yeah. He has moments of, I guess you could say, anti-hero, and even maybe somewhere he's like, oh, well, that was really nice of this villain to do that thing, come in and save the day when their interests aligned.
I mean, the way he's talking on this, it makes me kind of wonder. So
Yeah, and this is a good one, right? Like
I'm only about 4, maybe 5 in. I haven't read the whole run. But
I think I'm probably right there as well.
interest is peaked.
Before we get started, though, we want to do a 60-second catch-up because, A, it has been a long time since we've even done one of those. It's kind of pulling an old bag of tricks out. And B, we haven't had a villain on this show yet, right?
Yeah. And C, I love ketchup.
I do love ketchup. So very quickly, I'm going to give as much as I can. Tori might have some extra facts or something, or at least correct me if he sees something that I'm missing. But basically, Doctor Doom is one of the, if not the most iconic Marvel villains. I think a lot of people have this perceived notion that maybe Thanos is the big baddie in Marvel Comics, and that's not entirely incorrect, but he definitely is not the end-all, be-all. Doctor Doom, it can probably be made an argument that he is more iconic, at least in the comic book world, like the people that are actually reading the floppies. He's a sorcerer, but he's also like just as smart as Reed Richards, who is in most people's list the smartest person in the Marvel Universe. So he is typically associated with the Fantastic Four. He has a very, well, depending on what comics you're reading, but the majority of them, he's very scarred up, like messed up appearance. So he has like this steel mask that he's always wearing. He is I don't know what the official title is. I think he's either the king or the overlord of Latveria, which is an Eastern European country that he resides over. And overall, just like he's been around some of the bigger evil events that have happened through Marvel history. I don't feel like the films that he has been in, especially the most recent Fantastic Four, have done him justice at all.
That was one of the reasons I wanted to get a 60-second catch-up because that's all I knew from him.
Yeah.
And I never even questioned, is that really where he got his powers?
Yeah.
Until I started reading this, and it didn't feel that way.
Well, I think what's important is that people don't recognize that he is actually... Hold on 1 second. She's going to jump back there. And then jump out. Yeah.
I wasn't quick enough. I was going to try to get a video that we could sub in there. We like.
Yes, let's do the chasing game. Anyway, take it. What was I just saying?
I don't remember. I was distracted by cat.
You can just cut back to me running back to my chair with this in continuity cat chasing. Anyway, before my cat interrupted us all, I want to stress like how much they've left out in the movies of his like sorcerer's abilities. He's way more magic based than I think a lot of people know.
Because that was my main question.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna slight spoiler. I feel like this maybe happens at the end of the second issue, but they show him with the same kind of magic stuff happening around his arms, his hands, as you see for Doctor Strange, and that's what first made me think. Wait a minute! I always just thought he was weird, like he was strong and somehow had these powers that were more astrological phenomenon based than magic. And I was just like, okay, I got to ask Alex about that.
Yeah, it makes him quite the threat because not only is he like an evil super genius, but he is actually like trained in the mystic arts. And we'll see some cool plays on that in different characters that show up. Tori, did you get anything else in there that looked like we missed maybe?
Well, his mother was a witch.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's where he gets them. I knew that.
Yeah. Then he discovered his mother's instruments and then used that with technology to become Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So awesome. His actual name is Victor Von Doom.
Yeah.
Just for anybody that didn't know, but yeah, we're way past our 60 seconds as it always works out that way.
I want to butt in. You were talking about how he is one of the most iconic Marvel heroes. He is iconic enough that
Marvel villains.
So what did I say? Heroes. Sorry. I'm not used to talking about Marvel villains.
Yeah.
He actually, not he, but he's mentioned in my favorite book series ever, the Dark Tower series.
He is?
Well, sort of. You know the Wolves of Kala, whatever. The robots are basically werewolves that look like Doctor Doom. Like one of the characters makes a comment. And he was just like, yeah, that's who it is. He looks like Doctor Doom because they're these robotic wolves that have green cloaks. And like they actually make a comment because in that same book, Harry Potter is mentioned and some like heavy metal bands and stuff like that. So
I didn't know that. I haven't read that book.
Yeah,
I think lightsabers also make an appearance in that. I think lightsabers also make an appearance.
That's right. Yeah. They've got lights. Yeah. The Doctor Doom werewolves have lightsabers and throw sneeches that are like they're like they're called Harry Potter model sneeches, but they're basically grenades that buzz and explode.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, now I have more things to read on top of comic books.
Well, it's the 6th of a 7.5 books long series.
Well, I'll add it to the list.
But it's actually, is it a full 8 yet? No, I'm thinking of the half book. Yeah, but it's good. It's my favorite book series ever. And there are actually some graphic novel versions that kind of fill in some of the gaps. I've thought about mentioning those to you at some point. They're made by Marvel. So.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll cover them on Two Man sometime. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, that's your 60-second catch-up of Doctor Doom.
7 minutes later.
Yeah, he's an awesome character. He's one of my favorite villains. If you want like just after you finish this and you decide, I want to know more about Doctor Doom or just the Fantastic Four in general, I highly recommend Jonathan Hickman's run of the Fantastic Four. I can't remember what year it came out. Maybe I'll check that in a little bit. Oh, well, we have Tori here. I keep forgetting that we have help now to like, in the moment when we can't think of something because we're idiots, have somebody here to actually help us find that out. So whenever you find that, it's Jonathan Hickman. It'll either be called Fantastic Four, FF, or Future Foundation, or maybe all of those. And they're like, at some point, they're wearing white uniforms, which is...
I keep meaning to read some of those, and I still, to this day, have not read
Yeah, they're so good. It was the first like full series of Fantastic Four that I ever read and was all about it. I don't think there was a ton of Doctor Doom in that one. That was maybe more a little heavy on the FF stories, but that'll get you on a good path, at least to the main heroes that Doctor Doom is always going against. You can find out for sure. For some reason, my mind is going to... There's no way that 2004, maybe? That's just a guess.
For the first volume of the Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman?
Yes.
August 4th, 2010.
Ah, okay. So a decade ago.
Yeah.
Which, still some juicy stuff that is referenced today going on.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Do you guys have anything else before we jump into issue 1 of Doctor Doom?
No.
No and no. All right. Well, we're going to jump right in. As always, we try to give credit for all of the creatives that went into this book and not just the writer, because it is a comic book and there's a lot of work that goes into these beyond just the storytelling. So, issue 1 of Doctor Doom from 2019 is written by Christopher Cantwell. The art is by Salvador La Roca. The color art is by Guru Effects, which is a really cool color artist name. I don't know if I've read stuff with him before. Maybe I have. Letterer is by VC's Corey Petit. This particular cover, the one that we're reading, is by ACO. The variant cover is done by Mike Deodato Jr., Romulo Fajardo Jr., probably butchered that, sorry. Simone Bianchi. And there's a whole bunch here. Yeah, so we have graphic designer Carlos Lau, 2 assistant editors, and Shannon Andrews and Ballastards. The associate editor was Alana Smith, editor Tom Brevoort, editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski, and then going on to the rest of them, CCO Joe Quesada, president Dan Buckley, executive producer Alan Fine. Is it Fine or Fine?
Let's say Fine.
Question. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. And Doctor Doom created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Of course.
And I'm just going to butt in. The blocking of these letters looks strange. I think it's Shannon Andrews Ballesteros. Not
Ballastards.
It looks like a D.
It does look like a D.
You should put a panel up and just circle that. It looks like a D, but
well, you thought I said Ballastards.
Yeah, using context clues to assume it's actually Ballesteros.
My wife would be so disappointed in me right now. Katie, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Cool. So let's jump right in, and I'm going to throw some of this on here. So when I first started reading this, I was like slightly confused about what was going on because there's like this extended news panel, but I kind of quickly made sense of it. So basically, we're looking at what is listed as the Antlion Control Center, and it looks like a bunch of space stuff is going on. Yeah.
Every time. I know it's probably Antlion or Antlion.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to just be Antlion.
It can be.
I read it as Antlion.
Antlion Control Center sounds way cooler. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. We're going to call it Antlion.
Sweet.
So they're doing like this report based on something going on in space. It looks like they're building this giant just mecca of a building or a structure. And basically they're kind of talking about, I'm just going to read some of this just so you get the context. So I think it's going to make more sense. So it says the station will remove CO2 emissions from Earth's atmosphere, but at what rate? They're projecting a 35% reduction in the first year, and much of that will be converted into pure hydrogen fuel. But still, there's going to be waste generated at 30 times the toxic nuclear runoff. So basically, you're catching on that people are arguing about the effects of clean energy and reusable energy on whatever they're building on the Earth. And we quickly come to find out that they are making a black hole on the Earth that is going to essentially cool down. Sorry?
Black hole on the moon?
Yeah, did I say Earth? Yeah. Idiot.
It's okay.
They're making a black hole, like a controlled small black hole on the moon to take away some of the greenhouse gases and other things that are harming our atmosphere.
Which I'm just going to butt in right now and say I didn't take very many notes for this series, but one of the first ones I made was a black hole, a man-made black hole on the moon.
Yeah.
How is that ever going to be a good idea?
Well, you share the sentiment of Dr. Doom.
I know.
As we quickly find out.
I think it was that thought in my head that whenever I turn the page and I see that Dr. Doom is basically saying what I'm saying, I'm like, maybe Dr. Doom isn't all bad.
Yeah, maybe
but,
not.
You know, I've also had a conversation with you about the most convincing villains sometimes are the ones that feel like they're coming from a place that they truly feel is right.
Yeah.
Truly feel is good. Sidebar, I just got done watching Utopia on Amazon Prime.
I did too.
Oh, so have you finished it?
I have.
Yeah,
I
I don't want to spoil it, but the ending, like we finally get the wrap up of what was going on. And I was like, up until that moment, I was like, how is this guy? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about John Cusack as a villain, you know? And then he finally gives his reason for why. And I'm kind of like, maybe I buy it. Maybe I agree. Maybe I don't. I don't know. It was just not agree. I'm not a whatever he is. But, you know, like, so Dr. Doom arguing from this, you know, from the standpoint of what seems like a rational conversation. Like, let's not make a black hole on the moon
Right.
in our solar system.
Yeah. So just to give you some context, we have this news anchor here, and he's basically asking this scientist that's called in. He's like, so we're done. We've done it, right? We've solved climate change. And the doctor, the scientist, I'm not sure if they actually list who he is, but he says, I tried to avoid definitive answers, but we should see a drop in the global temperature pretty soon. And then he kind of quips back. He's like, well, we can't exactly refreeze the glaciers. And the guy's like, true. And then they call in Dr. Doom in the same manner. Like, they're like, all right, here we have, well, he says, our next guest, thank you for joining us, Dr. Doom. You're very critical of the Antlion project. Why is that? He says, because it'll lead to a disaster of interstellar proportions. And basically they start arguing with him, like saying everything's been safety tested. And he's like, kind of very sarcastic. He's like, yeah, nothing will go wrong with a black hole on the moon. You know, very sarcastic.
Exactly.
And then they start arguing like Reed Richards and Stark have made all the technology that's helping do this. And he kind of interrupts him and says, Richards is sloppy, Stark is reckless. And then the doctor, who was there originally, looks at him and says, what exactly are you a doctor of? Looking at Dr. Doom, which kind of annoys him, you can tell. Anyway, it goes downhill really quickly and they don't get anywhere. And Dr. Doom just kind of hangs up. And we get to this pull-out panel, and he's just sitting there on what looks like the most awesome Zoom setup that anybody has possibly ever seen. Yeah. He's got like great lighting, giant monitors, this very awesome throne that he's kind of hiked up on. And he's got, you know, his lackeys coming around trying to like remove his lav mics and get him ready.
I think you may have said this, and I zoned out because I was checking something.
You're good.
But this is where I kind of like not my opinion, but like my question of maybe Dr. Doom, maybe there's more to him, because the way that the anchors talk about him in the last panel, they're like, well, that was Dr. Victor Von Doom, war criminal and tyrant. And then the woman anchor's like, what? Once defeated by Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, they are not speaking respectfully, you know. And, you know, I don't
completely trying to undermine any credibility that he has.
Granted, I don't know anything about who he actually is, but he seemed to be bringing some decent points.
He is. I mean, I don't think most of our readers would know this because I'm assuming a lot of them aren't like the deep dive Marvel comic book. But I mean, he really is near the top of the smartest characters in the Marvel universe. Like he's a genius. So actually would know what he's talking about in that reference. But yeah, so he leaves the room, his awesome Zoom palace, and he's just walking with some of his lackeys. So something also to keep in mind is that he has like the nation of Latveria, the country. It's kind of third world a little bit. There's like a huge divide between the very bottom and the very top. There's not really a middle class. But those that are, I guess, lucky enough to be in the Doom Castle and work for him, he has a weird relationship with them. Like he knows a lot about their families and kind of talks to them like they're friends, but also in an instance will bark an order at them and tell them to get out of here. So basically it's the scene of people walking behind him and filling in the president with their briefings and things they have to do. And they're talking about black market weapons sales that are happening to the Simkarian border that's right below them. It's kind of a country they go to war with a lot. And then one of his assistants asked him if he'd prefer to watch the opening of the black hole from the media room because like it's about to happen, that cast that he just got off of. And he says, if I care one iota, prepare the outer grounds. I wish to see the last of the autumn foliage. So you also get this sense, if you haven't read the character very much, that he is a little bit of a man of finer tastes and likes enjoying the finer things in life. And he also ends, though, right after saying that, he says, this person's name is Victorious, which is an awesome name, by the way. He says, one final task, bring me the newsman named Steve.
Yeah.
And she says it will be done, which is kind of a funny thing that he was irked enough by this news anchor that he wants him in Latveria to torture him.
Yeah. But yeah, then he does step out and he's talking to somebody named Petra. I don't know if that's somebody we're supposed to know or not, but he's out, and kind of like gestures up at the moon, and you see this little flash. He's like, a black hole was just born. Do you think it'll save the world? And she just kind of parrots back what he said. It'll be a disaster of interstellar proportions.
Right.
And, they exchange pleasantries before it kind of fades out.
He says at the end there, I kind of like this. He asked, as soon as she said, and kind of agreed with him, whether it was parroting it back or not. He says, do you have children? She says, 2 girls, 1 boy. And he said, for their sake, I hope you're wrong. I kind of wondered if, I couldn't tell, I was trying to imply from the art, like if she rather agreed with him or was just out of fear
line.
Saying, like, I'm not going to argue with Dr. Doom. So after he asks her about the children and, he says, I hope you're wrong, we find him like in his study. He's writing something. I read it. It didn't seem like it had any true effect, at least what I've seen so far in the story. But all of a sudden, and the longtime Marvel fans will get a kick out of this, there's like this purple flash, and who else but Kang the Conqueror shows up in his study. And he seems completely unfazed by that. As a matter of fact, he says, I'm growing tired of this, Kang. Like, this has been happening for a while. So I haven't been reading enough Doctor Doom related material or even Kang the Conqueror material to know if it was known before this moment that this has been happening, him kind of popping up on Doctor Doom suddenly. But I do know Kang the Conqueror is a really interesting character. I don't know as much about him as I do like Doctor Doom or some of the other villains, but he is big time. He's also up there with Doctor Doom as far as like level of villain. I know he's a time traveler and also kind of like a dimension multiverse jumper as well. Tori, do you have a chance to look up Kang the Conqueror and see if there's something that I'm missing as far as powers while you're doing that? He has like bluish skin and like a purple and green suit.
Yeah.
And a purple helmet. He looks kind of funny.
Yeah.
He's possibly a descendant of Reed Richards from the 31st century.
Oh, that makes that even juicier.
Yeah, his original name was Nathaniel Richards before he became Kang the Conqueror. And he used Dr. Doom's technology to do his time travel.
Oh, okay. So we have to do a whole Kang the Conqueror episode just for time travel sake.
Because one of the cliches of this podcast is, as you know, time travel is one of my hobbies.
Yeah.
So as soon as I saw Kang pop up and he starts talking about time and timeline, which timeline am I on? And I was just like, ooh. Because there was a podcast I used to I listened to a while back. I don't know if they're still making it. I think it was Bill and Frank Eat Pop Culture, and they are big Kang fans.
Oh, okay.
At least I think it was them. It was either them or Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. One of those two was talking about how much they love Kang, and I never even bothered to look into it. So when he popped up here, I was like, oh, this is that guy that they were talking about. And then I found out he's a time traveler. And I'm like, okay, I'd like to know more.
Tori, will you look up who the lead role of Lovecraft County is? Or it's Country. Which one is it?
Country.
Yeah, Lovecraft Country. I keep doing that. And Katie keeps yelling at me. And she doesn't even watch it. She just knows I'm getting the title wrong. I asked him to do that because that actor just got cast and it was officially confirmed as Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. And rumor has it that he's going to be introduced in Ant-Man 3 of all films, which didn't make sense originally to me, but then I thought, wait a minute, he just kind of went all quantum realm in Ant-Man 2 and was the reason we figured out the science for Endgame, quote unquote.
Jonathan Majors?
That's it, yeah. He is confirmed as Kang the Conqueror, which I'm all for.
I can't even picture who that is.
Have you seen any of Lovecraft?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, okay. We need to have a watch party on my
I'm a
sweet
Luddite,
TV.
because I still don't have HBO Max or Disney Plus.
Season 2 of The Mandalorian comes out.
Yeah, I know. I still haven't even
seen
seen season 1.
So we're going to have to have a watch party.
And my brother is a Mandalorian mark.
Look at him.
I mean, yeah, I know. He's really cute.
Get it together, man.
I think he's crying at me.
Yeah.
Now.
How can you just not watch that for days? Anyway, so Kang the Conqueror shows up in his study, and there's kind of this interesting thing going on. He asks Doom where he is, which I haven't read enough Kang to know that if that's like a thing where he kind of hops around and doesn't actually know exactly where he's going to be.
That's kind of what I was wondering too.
Or if there's something going on where
is it like Quantum Leap? You know,
I don't know.
He jumps around hoping that the next leap is the leap home.
Wow.
And he like does stuff. He takes care of people, and then quantum leaps out of there to a different place into somebody else's body. Sorry,
That'd be cool.
I want to
know if there's some. I want to know if there's some Kang the Conqueror meets Spider-Man 2099 books, because that one's a really cool character that we'll definitely cover in the future as well. Also, not necessarily. Well, there are some time travel things to it, not necessarily with Spider-Man 2099 Miguel O'Hara, but he is sent back in time. So they talk really quick, and basically Dr. Doom is like wondering why this keeps happening. Or actually, I think it's Kang is wondering.
Yeah.
They're like wondering, why does Kang keep showing up around Dr. Doom? And we'll learn soon enough that this is not just a one-time occurrence. There's like this weird anomaly happening where he just shows up and it's unannounced, and even Kang is not sure exactly how he got there or where he got there or which iteration of Dr. Doom he's even talking to.
Because he makes a comment, I don't know which timeline I'm in.
Yeah. And Doom, again, just starts kind of casually pouring some wine. Like, he's kind of annoyed, but also like, fine, you're here. I'll at least be a good host. And he says, why am I tethered to you? And he says, we may be distantly related, quantum entanglement. And then he turns away the wine and says, I don't drink with my adversaries. And Doom's like, you just said we were related. He said, I said distantly. I can't talk today. He kind of quickly realizes that he's about the Project Antlion thing, like that he's in that timeline. And Doom asks him like how it goes. I think this is here, isn't it? Hold on, pause. Sorry. It's either here or later when he's talking to him about it. The Project Antlion.
I mean, they mention it right there.
Yeah.
Like, vaguely, you're supposed to destroy or save the world.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just confirming that they actually mentioned the Antlion project, and he was talking about how he's supposed to save the world, and he alludes to it kind of depends on what timeline you're in to know that if it actually works or not. And they're talking, and they kind of start doing this this proverb about searching for happiness and it leading to destruction, all this sort of thing. And then Kang suddenly just poof, he's gone again, which adds more to my thoughts that he can't quite control that, or he's extremely rude to turn away the drink. And
can it be both?
He could be.
He turned away the drink and then he drank it anyway.
Oh, that's right. He does.
So, I don't know.
Take a little sip. But anyway, do you want to take the next bit?
The next part I didn't quite understand, even on my second reading. He's just going. Victor's going to bed. And I guess he has to pour some strange metal liquid onto some sort of bandage that he wears around his head. But the whole, like, somebody singing Buffalo Gals to him. And I was like, is it him? Or is he hearing something? Is he remembering something? And then we see that he's like remembering something or having a vision or having a dream or something.
I read into this and I think confirmed it. He's having a vision, sort of, which makes sense with his magic stuff.
Yeah. But it's him either in the future or an alternate timeline or something like that, where he's like completely healed, no disfigurement of his face. He has 2 kids and a wife, and I don't remember if they say it here. Yeah, he's the world minister.
Right.
So, and I guess the world is peaceful.
Yeah, which kind of alludes to what King just said, like it's potential that you save the world, and I think they kind of wink at that a little bit later. And present time Dr. Doom is this is very much a Christmas Carol scene, like Scrooge watching different versions of himself for different timelines of things that happen. So he's in the moment watching his non-disfigured self with his family, and it looks very happy, opposite of what his current life is now. And they kind of refer to this color happiness thing that the proverb was talking about earlier, and we forgot to mention that he walked through this door into this vision a little bit, kind of like from his bathroom where he was putting on his bandages, opens a door to this vision, and he goes back, and then we turn to the next panel, and he is on the antlion, the antlion. I'm going to butcher that for the rest of my life now. And it looks like things are going poorly.
Yeah, it almost looks like Earth has turned into a black hole or something, and it's everything's getting sucked into the accretion disk and just like zapping right into it.
Right. So we flash forward to weeks later, and we're going to go through parts of this that are more important or less important than others. He's talking, people are asking for his statement on the current progress of the antlion, and like it has actually kind of started to work a little bit. Like the temperature has dropped by about 1/3 of a degree, and some other greenhouse gas emissions have been they're gone. And then there's like a wink back at the beginning. He has Steve, the news anchor, hanging in a straitjacket and a muzzle mask thing, and basically torturing him. And just a funny comic relief thing. But then we go and see him, and this is where the first time you see in this comic of him doing some magic. He's like hover meditating right next to this lake shore, and he looks out and he starts having another vision, and it's again his better looking future successful peace wielding self with his son, and they're fishing, and he's kind of teaching his son a lesson in patience and waiting for the fish and everything, and talking about how the world saved itself, even though he kind of got credit for it, at least in this vision's timeline. And then suddenly we are taken up to the Antlion Control Center, which is on the dark side of the moon, and we see these rovers. It just looks like a workspace, like a science workspace. You know, people are doing their job, and we get like the technical jargon of them doing whatever. And then suddenly there's this giant explosion.
Yep.
And it comes out of nowhere. Like the panels are this nice soft blue, space blues, and then you get this like very harsh, violent orange explosion. It's a really cool like transition in the panels. And at the same time, we pull back, and the antlion is just exploding. Like the whole thing is getting blown up, and we look back down on Earth, and all of these nukes are shooting away from Latveria, where Dr. Doom is, and he is standing there, and he's like, "What?" And he says, "By the 7 devils," and he sees all these nukes. And he watches them go up and blow up Antlion, and he is not sure what's going on. So we go to 37 minutes later, and Drew, why don't you take us through that?
Yeah. They're in it looks like a war room, and they're just all talking, like, what's happening? Where did it come from? And basically, they don't know who launched the missiles or whatever, but I think right here they say the Antlion Control Center went up before our missiles were launched, and they're like, but everybody's saying it was us, and they're like asking how many casualties or something, and they're like nearly 3,000, and then they cut to something with these people in these spacesuits.
It's like breaking news.
Yeah, carrying the Latvian flag in the rubble, and they're saying that basically Latveria is claiming control, or terrorists who attacked the control station, that's the Latvian flag. And he was just like, what? Oh, that's not us, you know. And he basically goes along to say, we're going to surrender, full unconditional surrender, because this is a mistake. It's not us. And he's trying to get on the front side of it.
Yeah, I really like this part. He like has all of his highest up lackeys up around him, and they're asking, how do we attack? The people south of the border are trying to react to this and maybe like take us at a point of weakness right now. And he catches all of them off guard by exactly what Drew says, like full unconditional surrender. And as he's leaving, he talks to Zora, who's his kind of right-hand person, and just says that I need you to take over as a country right now. And he's like, in 1 hour, or he says, listen to me, I'll be arrested within the next hour, and you will step into Latveria's regent. Is that how you say that, regent? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll cede full military control to NATO. And he's basically like giving her some instructions of, this is what's going to happen. It's not going to be comfortable, but we're going to get ahead of this. And she asks him during all this, she's like, tell me the truth. Is this your doing? And he says, how dare you? And he just walks off. And then 2 hours later, you see in the distance, he's kind of overlooking his country, and there's just all of these like Black Hawk helicopters coming in the distance, and suddenly these people come in and they attack him. It's like the whole world is just coming down on him right now because they think that he just...
Not even giving him a chance to talk. It's just attack, attack, attack.
Which, to be fair, if you have any insight on what Dr. Doom has done before, he's done way worse than killing 3,000 people. He's killed way more than that. But I actually bookmarked some notes to talk about who these people are that attack him. So the first one is Union Jack, which is a character who's been around for a little bit. A kind of a cool thing about this is he doesn't actually have like superhuman powers, but he was actually exposed, or at least it depends on which Union Jack this is. I think this is Brian Fallsworth. I had to do some research. I haven't actually read. I've seen him in one other comic. He was exposed to a variant of the super soldier serum. Okay. It was not as strong of a cocktail as the one that either got Captain America or eventually kind of that Bruce Banner was toying with, but it did make him a lot stronger. So he comes at him and he's actually attacking Dr. Doom like just out of fury and anger. Like he wasn't hired as like a hitman or something like that. He's just so mad because he knew people up there and attacks him. And Dr. Doom is like, he's caught off guard originally, but he kind of quickly like starts using his magic and overcomes him very quickly. And then as he takes him out, he looks down and he's got a red laser on his shoulder. And then you see from afar a gunsman pull the trigger on him. And then he shows up, and that is Agent Zero. Now, some of our viewers, if you've seen the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, have you seen that? It was the first iteration of Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds, but the one that everybody got so much flack over. So Agent Zero is the guy that has the guns and is like a crazy shot. He's basically Marvel's Deadshot.
Okay.
Very similar character, but he is a mutant. And this is him here, and he is a mercenary. So he is there because the bounty on Doom's head skyrocketed as soon as the explosion on Antlion. So I just wanted to point out those two characters. I had to like refresh jog my own memory just to make sure that I knew who they were. But it was cool that they kind of pulled deeper into the Marvel ethos, just the catalog of characters to actually get them there. But as Drew mentions, this is the first part where you see him take out his hands and do like this swirly magic, like really start to like flex his sorcerer powers, and he picks them up and starts slamming them together as each other. But very quickly, he realizes he's surrendered and there's not really, or that he's outnumbered, and he kind of has to surrender as he originally planned.
It looked to me more like he was like, I could have totally taken you guys, but I just wanted to beat you up a little bit and let you know, hey, by the way, I'm totally surrendering.
He actually does say that. He says, I'd like to inform you both that I intend to surrender. And he's standing there and he's got like a bleeding shoulder. Yeah. And he sees one last vision standing right next to him is himself again with his wife that he's not really sure who it is. And they're talking about peace and all the great things that he did. And he's you can tell he's kind of internally thinking, how did I get here? What timeline am I watching, and why is this one that I'm currently living so different? And we get like an inner monologue of things, him saying the world is not mine. And issue 1 ends. So what'd you think of that one, Drew?
It was good. Whenever you initially said, let's read this Dr. Doom, I was like, I don't care about Dr. Doom. And the more I read it, I was like, okay, good pick. It's introducing me to people and stuff that I didn't know about, and it's an interesting story.
I'm all for it. The reason I picked this specific run is because Christopher Cantwell, the writer, is also writing the current, literally issue 1 out a couple weeks ago, Iron Man run. And I hadn't read a ton of his books. I was like, I'm going to get a feel for his writing style and just see if this is something I want to jump into. And loved it, and just kind of suggested it to Drew. And
did you say was the artist from this the same one from the Iron Man that we read a while back?
Yes.
I like this art so much more than that.
I agree. Yeah. So what is it? Salvador La Roca.
Yeah.
Sorry with my lack of ability to put some Spanish flair on that name. He did the art for the Iron Man series that we covered 20 episodes ago, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And we weren't the biggest fan, kind of collectively, of that specific art style. I mean, there were some other things outside of drawing that, like just some overlays of like an iPhone screen was like an obvious paste of an image. This art is way better.
Yeah.
So hats off to Salvador for that.
Just
Salvador, if you're listening up top.
Yeah. I was just thinking of, was that on Parks and Rec? Because I can picture Chris Pratt saying it. The whole. What is that?
There's dogs outside.
Oh,
Sorry
dogs.
if you guys can hear that.
I was just remember he said something like, "Your art was the best art of all the art." And that just popped into my head thinking about. I really appreciated the art.
Yeah, this is
specifically the cover, like this, the one that you go to. The next one. Like I love the cover art and like the preview cover art. So
it's fantastic,
vivid.
Cool. Tori, do you have any thoughts on this one? I mean, I know you jumped in and read at least this issue.
I did read this issue, and I read the one after it.
Cool.
My only contribution is, do you know, can you guess what his alter ego is in the Spider-Ham universe?
Who, Dr. Doom's?
No, sorry. Not Dr. Kang the Conqueror. I was still stuck on that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was in the Spider-Ham universe. What is it?
Kangaroo the Conqueror.
An obvious transition.
Yeah.
I should have put on my dad hat and maybe would have got that one.
That could've-
And we're back with our lightning round trivia where our questions are as fast. And speaking of, we're about to break into a whole new round of two-man
Allegedly,
trivia. Blue
Did
lightning
I
round.
did I win the last
Forgetting
one? To
You,
point out
if you want to remind the audience, you did in
I
fact
don't
win.
Hey, I won. It came to you
Drew
faster
is
than
Wayne
lightning.
Hurley,
I
the
butchered
champion. He's wearing the crown.
I was
You know why?
talking
You know
about
why?
how I
Take a
butchered
quick
it.
break and then we'll jump right back in.
I said Dr.
lightning round
Strange,
trivia.
didn't I?
We'll be right
Not
back.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to roll the
'Cause-
tape back on that.
Yeah. If I said it, we're leaving it in.
Yeah, because I was busy just talking over you while you were talking that whole time.
No, it's fine.
So
Yeah.
mass chaos.
All love here. We're in a fresh new round, so we're dead even at, I almost said one apiece, but negative numbers apiece,
Yeah,
you know? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Cool. Hit me with your best shot, yo.
So my question is more based on the fact that other than Secret Wars, I don't know if I've ever knowingly read Doctor Doom in comics. So my most significant experience with Doctor Doom is from the movies back in the day. Not the most recent one, but the two before that. So my question is, do you remember the name of the actor that played Doctor Doom in those movies?
I can see his
Oh, yeah.
face right now.
I just saw a picture of
A
him.
handsome gentleman.
He was apparently in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, a new TV show based off of Dirk Gently by Douglas Adams. Another great book. Have you ever read Doug Adams?
Yes, I mean, I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm thinking about rereading it. Anyway, he apparently is in that current show.
Question, can I Google it?
I think you would remember that in this show we gurgle it.
Oh, right. Gurgle.
And no.
No, okay. It was worth a shot. I don't know his name. There's no way. I mean, I could guess for humor reasons.
For 0.001 points,
Yeah.
do you want to give me initials? You just pick.
Yeah, just pick two letters.
Pick two letters.
CS.
No and no.
Okay. What is it?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it was Julian McMahon.
No, wouldn't have got that.
McMahon.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that's
Good-looking
McMahon.
guy.
Is that McMahon?
Yeah.
Okay. Julian McMahon. I knew him first on Nip Tuck.
Oh,
That-
yeah. He
yeah.
was on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple
I,
other things.
I enjoyed him well enough.
Yeah.
I liked the original FF movie more than the recent one with
Me
Miles
too. Me too.
Teller.
I actually own both of those. That and
Yeah.
the Rise of the
Yeah.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah. I wanted more Galactus, but alas, that's for
Yeah.
another episode. All right. No points for me.
No points.
I've got some Doom-related stuff as well. We've mentioned earlier that there have been moments throughout comic book history where Doctor Doom has actually been maybe on the good side of things, or at least not just completely evil, or had some moments where he was doing good things. And it has historically thrown people off. Like, never quite has the trust of anybody. Can you tell me a comic book series? I'll just let you say the character, this comic book character that he was in, giving you a hint that it's not a Doctor Doom book, to where he was actually, for an extended amount of time, being a good guy.
So you're just looking for the character.
Just a comic book
title?
run for the title. Yep.
All right. I have no idea. So I'm just going to pull one out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
Deadpool.
No.
Okay.
Incorrect.
I actually have a guess on this.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the special edition 9/11 comic where he helps put back together the Twin Towers?
I wasn't, but I did. I've actually read that comic book. It's funny that you bring that up.
I'm not sure if he's in it or not, but
I think he might have been, or no, I don't know if they would have made. I read that comic book. I mean, obviously it was a long time ago. The one I'm talking about is an Iron Man run from 2015, written by our boy Brian Michael Bendis.
My gut told me Iron Man.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to lean in because I was watching myself on the camera when I said, I'm going to pull one out of the air.
Yeah.
And when I made this gesture, Deadpool was in my hand.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, Deadpool is the answer.
I wish Deadpool was in my hand.
And I think in addition, I was thinking, there's so many where it's like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, so he could have been pitted against him, and maybe Deadpool would have been the good guy. So,
the book that he's in, obviously there have been other instances than just the Iron Man one that I was thinking of, but he's like not only doing good, but he's not wearing Doctor Doom stuff. He's not disfigured at all. He's actually like, everybody keeps commenting like how strikingly good looking he looks.
I see.
And he, for a time, gets a hold of the Iron Man gear and is actually, because Tony Stark is missing, assumes the role of Iron Man.
Wow.
Which is really crazy. And does good
Wow.
for a long time. It's awesome. All right, so no points for anyone right there.
Yeah.
A bunch of
That's
fools.
the way we do it. See,
Yeah.
there's no pressure.
There's no points, like whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Did you have one for us?
Sure.
This is for no points, I guess, but just for funsies.
Unless I get it right. Then
Unless
I
I
get
get it right.
I guess it's a question for both of you.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, I got a question.
Yes.
Are we going to each answer in turn, or is it going to be like a buzzer, like on Jeopardy?
Oh yeah. Say your name to answer. Or
What?
Say your name to buzz in.
Okay, so I gotta say Alex.
Yeah.
So I got to say Alex. Just kidding. What's my name?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of a good way to word this, but what property did this is actually about Kang the Conqueror, not Doctor Doom.
Cool.
What property did Kang the Conqueror show up? It was a crossover between X-Men and
What series?
and a series that I was, maybe as comic book people you would not be surprised by this, but I was very surprised to see this crossover.
Okay, so it was an X-Men crossover with the answer
Something.
Yeah.
that Kang the Conqueror showed up in. Are we allowed to ask if it was an in Marvel Universe crossover, or are you talking about like a?
It's outside
a
the
true,
Marvel.
Outside
Okay.
Marvel.
Alex. I'm gonna guess that it was X-Men meet the Doom Patrol.
Okay. That's incorrect.
Okay. I have no idea.
Drew's buzzing in. Buzz, buzz.
All right.
This I know this is wrong, but I'm going to say it because it's what popped into my head. X-Men versus the Care Bears.
That would be surprising.
That would. I think equally surprising, the answer is Star Trek.
Oh. Wow. That sounds like especially right up your alley.
Yeah.
X-Men, Star Trek, time traveling Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made for me.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to read that one. Good question.
Yeah.
That's
I
a good
just
one.
found it in Wikipedia.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, any closing thoughts on that issue?
No, it's I've read a bit ahead. It's worth it. You should check it out. It's on Marvel Unlimited. It's relatively new, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
you-
just got on Unlimited.
You might be able to find it in stores. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's an interesting enough story that if I happened to come across it in a comic shop, I'd probably pick up a copy.
Yeah, same.
Good.
Cool. Well, Drew, where can they find you on social media?
I am at Drew Morris Comp on Twitter and Drew Morris Composer elsewhere, or you can check out my website, drewmorrismusic.com. What about you, Alex?
Cool. You can find me at Alex Wayne Miller. Wayne is Wayne, just like Bruce Wayne, because I am Batman. You can find me on every social media network on that. And Tori, do you want to tell them where they can find you, if anywhere you want to share your social media?
Sure, I'm on Twitter at Torrance Watkins, TORRANCE. If you want to join in with me arguing with people on Twitter, that's what you
Isn't that
do.
what we're all there for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. And for two-man stuff,
You can find us both on podcast form, whether if you're listening to us on podcast, you already know that. We're on YouTube. Just look for Two-Man Comic Book Club, either of those places. On Twitter, we are at Two-Man Comic Book. Instagram, Facebook, Two-Man Comic Book Club. Both of those with the numeral 2.
Yep. Cool. And next issue, or episode rather, we will be back with Dr. Doom number 2. Until then, we'll see you later. Bye.
Yep.